to check that out after the session. But without further ado, I'm going to dive right into it. And I'm going to try to share my screen on specific tiny home design that we've done. This is probably the most, what I would call like iconic or traditional tiny house designs. And it's our 24 foot, 24 foot let's see here. I believe that's the one. 24 foot tiny house looks like this. That's why I'm saying it's probably one of the most classic. Can be painted any color you want. This is just the raw wood look right there. But I really like it when it's white with the black roof, white trim. So even a white fascia there, and then black window frames like it has right here. But the trim around it's white. I think that's a very nice look. But anyways, all that to say, oh no, I gotta sneeze. I'm so sorry, guys. I couldn't find the mute button in time. Apologies on that. All right, so we're gonna dive into it. This is what you'll get if you guys purchase a set of our plans or whatever. This is what you'll get. The goal of what I'm trying to help you guys here is if you're gonna DIY, or even if you guys are going to have a builder design your tiny house, you're going to want to make sure you understand what the plans are that they're giving you. So if you're going custom, or even if you're buying a model and they send you the plans, you want to understand how it works. So and obviously all the different blueprints and plans, they can look different. This is just how we've optimized our plans to be the most effective. So I can zoom in here on some of these different designs like this. You can see that on each of our windows. So I guess for the bare basics, you can see the perimeter of it here, and any section of the wall that looks like this. Can you guys see my mouse, Jason? Any section that looks like this, it's actually just the standard wall. So there's nothing special there. But anything that looks like this, that's a window or a door. So, window right here above the toilet there, obviously that's going to be a window. And then windows, doors, and all of those different things. But we figured the best way to do it is to have very specific detailing of like what size, let's see, can I zoom in anymore? What size the header is, what height the header is at, the size of the window or door, and what it is. It's a slider, and exactly a measurement to the center of the window, because that's how you would frame it. We've done a lot of framing, and the best way to find those exact measurements is having a measurement right to the center of the window. So that's a pretty basic setup there. Obviously, there's certain things in here in this floor plan that are more for the aesthetics. Like you're not going to have the couch in it when you're building it. When it's done, it's obviously going to be there. So you want to be able to kind of see it laid out, how it's going to work. There's some steps right in here to go up into the loft area. This is going to be the second story right here. And the steps going up this way with the loft. And we have it dormered. So if you see this image up here, this is what we call the dormer section up here. And down here, it would just be the normal kind of, it's a steeper roof. And so it gives us this nice contrast between here and here that makes it look aesthetically pleasing. You don't want this roof flat though. You still want at least some slope. And another thing that's very important that you want to remember is that you're going to want to have egress inside of this loft area. You got to make sure that there's egress anywhere that there's a sleeping area. You're going to have egress, which means a second way of escape, a second form of evacuation in case of a fire, whatever it is. So let's say there's a fire down here in the kitchen and you can't come down these stairs. You're going to have another way to get out. So you're going to have to be able to jump through a window or something like that to be able to get out. So definitely you want to make sure that you have an egress inside of the loft up there. Some different details, like you're going to want to know how is your house going to be heated or cooled. So one of the most popular ways right now is the mini split heat pump and AC setup, to where it's like the HVAC setup. It's got this outside unit here and it's got the inside unit. You can place them kind of wherever, but you do need to be a little bit methodical of where exactly you get it placed. So then there's a lot of different details inside of here that we could go over, but obviously you're going to want to know the layout. So the way that it looks, this is an average stove, and you can do a microwave oven above it. Here's a washer dryer and some storage. The fridge right there, obviously, this is a sink. This is the way that the bathroom looks. So it's a nice little shower right there. There's a linen closet for extra storage, which is something that a lot of tiny homes don't have, is plenty of storage and so on. So pretty basic in that sense. And like I said, so that this is a pretty basic setup here. It's not like anything groundbreaking or any sort of crazy idea. This is just a very average tiny home design here. So, but I think it's one of the most, I guess you could say, cute tiny house designs set up there. So you can see the French doors right here on this one here. It's got these pretty symmetrical windows here, the loft window there, and overall it just looks pretty solid. And it dives into some of these elevation section shots. So these would be the section shots. It's like this is as if it was cut through the center or cut through whatever section it is that you're looking at. So if you take the tiny home and you cut it in half, this is what the inside of the opposite wall is going to look like. So it's, this exact view right here, but you cut it in half and now you're looking at it. So when you're looking at something like this up here, this floor plan, and it's like, okay, the storage of the washer and dryer and these stairs and the fridge, but like, what does that look like? Is this washer dryer up high? Is it down low? Does this fridge take up the whole space? What's this storage under the stairs look like? All of that. That's where this section shot right here can be very helpful. It's like, oh, okay, so the washer dryer's down low, and we have this cabinet or just cavity up here, so you can do whatever you'd like. You can do a cabinet up there. You can do an open space for hanging, for whatever it is. And then you can put cabinet faces on this. You can also build the stairs differently if you prefer. There's the fridge. You can see, okay, that's a good size fridge that we got right there. So these section shots right here are very helpful for understanding how it's going to look in that sense. Obviously, the floor plan is great so that you can know where things are laid out in relation to other things, but then the section shots are great to be able to identify, like, how high is something? Where is it at on this wall? Where does it look like? So you can also see the windows through here. So you can see, like, okay, like that's a pretty well placed window right there. If I had a couch right here, it would work out pretty well. So same with this here. This is obviously also just the other side. It's like, oh, okay, so there is a microwave above this stove here. There is cabinet space on either side, and this window is nicely placed right over the kitchen sink right there. These drawers are great. Oh, some people might be like, oh, I'd actually rather have a bunch of sliding drawers rather than cabinets here. And then that's where you can easily identify those type of minor changes that you like, but makes it feel more like your own home. So different options along those lines. And you can kind of see it looks a little bit, funky like this, but that's just because that's the roof that's been cut and it's actually angled down right here. And, this is like the skylight up inside of this area right there. So a little tip there for you guys, that the skylights actually can be very impactful as far as a egress goes. If sometimes it's pretty hard to find a good spot for an egress, so that can be very helpful there. So let's see, how do you supply electricity to this home? So I'm gonna go through a couple of questions here too in just a second. So this is going to be the 3D perspective, so you can kind of have a little bit better idea of how it looks. Let's say this up here, it's like, okay, so this is how it is, and I could definitely build off of this, but it gives you a little bit better, it almost brings it to life a little bit more when you can kind of see it in this 3D aspect right here. So gives you a little bit more perspective. Same with this. This is really similar to the other section shots, but it's now a 3D view. And so you can actually get a better feel for, like, how far does this cabinet stick out? Because, previously it would be like, okay, it's all right there, but you can see, okay, so this is all nice. Now I've got a really nice hallway right here, very usable kitchen countertop space. This is the microwave range hood. This little wall right here, if I like it, I could put a rail, I could completely get rid of it. I could, build it all the way up, whatever I want to do there. It gives you a lot more, aspects there. So, and obviously all these material choices can be changed out. It's not like you are completely locked into what this is exactly. And you can also, choose the different material choices. This isn't obviously the best aesthetic picture. It's not necessarily, these aren't for, like, aesthetically, like, showing you what it's going to look like. This is more just for, like, the 3D space that you have and how it's laid out and how it's being used. So and then let's see here. Then you dive into the window and door schedules. You can see how many units of each window you're going to be getting, how many units of each of the doors, the exact specifics, how it's set up, all the different details, egress on that one right there, the different stuff. You want to make sure that you have all the different details of the specific windows that you're going for. Same with all the cabinet boxes. These are all pretty simple and set up. And it's like, oh, hey, I actually wanted to change these out for sliding drawers, then it's really easy. You just literally take this set and you take it to the cabinet company and they'll just build it for you, or they'll know exactly and they can price out really easy. Or if you're wanting to build it yourself, now you know the exact dimensions of the box size that you need to build, and then you can get the faces or build the faces to go on top of it there. So you can mix and match. You can go into IKEA and you can build out your kitchen really easily, all of that as well. So makes it pretty quick and simple, and even the bathroom cabinet there. Then we can jump into the lighting and the electrical here. So I got a question there of like the actual how you supply electrical to this tiny house. So most tiny homes on wheels, they're going to be powered very similar to an RV. So it's going to have it's going to just have a power inlet, either a 30 amp or 50 amp. Most of them are going to be 50 amp nowadays, but sometimes you'll go with the 30 amp. So you literally, all you need is it looks exactly, I mean, it literally is most of the time an RV inlet on the outside of the house. So that way you just need a cord, and you can easily get an RV electrical cord that's the 50 amp or 30 amp or whatever it is that you actually have on your home, and just plug that in to the tiny house. And then the thing is that you need to have an outlet on wherever you're supplying the power. So if you're going to plug this into a backyard of a house, then you're going to need to have an outlet, a 50 amp outlet that you can actually plug that into there. Or if you're going to be putting it on its own property, then that gets a little more complicated, because you're going to need to be doing things like have a meter if you're going to be attached to the actual public power, or on the grid. If you're not going to be on the grid, then you could power it a bunch of different ways. You can do a solar setup, you can do a generator, you can do a few different options like that as well. As far as solar, what we're heavily encouraging recently is a solar generator, which is more, I almost view it more as like a battery bank that's detached from the house, and you literally just take the cord, you plug it into the inlet on the house, plug the other end into the power battery bank over here, and that stores all of the power and also has all the inverters and everything that you need to be able to control it, the charge controller and all that sort of stuff. And then you can just take the solar panels, plug those in, and just set them wherever you want. That's optimized to the sun, because some people want to put their solar panels on the roof. It doesn't really make a lot of sense unless you want to dictate how your house is facing based off of the sun, because it's really important to get the most solar charge. You have to have the solar panels facing a very specific direction, because it diminishes very fast. The amount of solar intake that you can get diminishes very fast if you're not optimized to the angle of the sun. So those are some things that, unless you're going to be traveling all the time, I don't really recommend having solar on the roof there. So yeah, so like Nick Mosley's saying, there's a lot of builders that are doing it both ways now, and I'm sure Nick's done it quite a few different times both ways. So if you're wanting to actually just have a meter hooked up to your tiny house, you can have that option, or you can have the option of just an RV inlet outlet there. So and Nick dropped some different power wall, or basically solar generator options there as well. So thanks, Nick, for that. And then let's see. Just gonna see if I missed anything else. I keep going through these designs here, and then you can see the different, you want to be able to place the outlets inside of your electrical plan. So, hey, where do I want the outlets? I want to make sure that I have one near the corners. I want to make sure that I have, enough, plenty of power up along the countertop here. I definitely need one for the washer dryer, need one for the fridge, and I need something to be able to power the water heater. And this generally you'll do the tankless the tankless water heater, which we recommend precision temp. And if you do a little outlet right there, then you can do a converter to go down to 12 volts, which is generally what the RV tankless water heaters are powered with. And then up in the loft, you're going to want to be able to charge your phone or do whatever it is that you want to, have maybe a lamp or whatever it is extra up here. And then some people will also add in additional outlets other places as well. And then you can dictate the lighting, like where exactly do you want the lights? So this will be underneath the loft here. That's why it's shown on this first floor here. And then you want the switches as well. And you want to be able to see, so all the linking here, it shows where that's coming from. So there's this switch right here and it powers these 4 lights right there. Same with this. There's a switch right here and it powers these 4 lights. You want to obviously make sure you have plenty of lighting above your kitchen. These lights up here will power and they'll be bright enough for all the way down here because it's actually only like 10 feet from the floor, maybe 12 feet from the floor to the top up here. So it's not actually that far, 11 feet, I mean. And then here's the plumbing. So you can also see how it works. The clean out here, you're gonna need the vents through the roof. You want to make sure that that you have plenty of vents through the roof as well. And you can have the another like a knife gate clean out here. Here's the water inlet style. So you make sure that it's very, it's basically the exact same thing as like an RV inlet as well. Most of the time, that's what people are doing. And then you can optimize your design. So when you go to actually implement the plumbing here, you're going to have to make field-based decisions. That means if you're going to have to drill through a very important thing, is there another way you can get around it? Is there a way that you can not have to go right through the trailer frame when you're doing your plumbing? You don't want to go through the trailer frame, so drop down lower or make sure you're up higher, but you're going to need to make sure that you have the proper slope. So there's some different plumbing notes right here that help with all of that as well. Here's just a few different views of how it's all connected and where it's going from one place to the next. So let's see. So that's one of the designs right there. Let me see if I can pop over and jump on one of our other designs. Stop my share on that one. I'm going to go ahead and start my share on this one. But disappearing over here. So this is, let's see. Can you guys see my screen now? Yeah, I think you guys can. So this is another one of our pretty popular backyard ADU plans here. Very simple, but very effective. And it's a very good use of the space, but it doesn't have a loft. So if you're looking for a loft, this isn't the plan for you. But again, it comes with a lot of the details on here. And then when you jump down into here, you can see the different specifics of the floor plan. So hopefully you guys recognize this now. There's a little desk here, couch here. This is a sleeping area. So it's not a loft, but it is a raised platform for sleeping with storage underneath. So I can show you that in a second. Here's the kitchen setup here and the bathroom with the pocket door here and the shower right there. So it's pretty compact for 28 feet. It's got a lot of things in here, but it's got this main floor bedroom, which is very effective for what it's trying to achieve. It's got the 2 entry exits right here. And this is why elevation shots are so important. So you can actually see there's a door right here and it's like, oh, it looks pretty similar like this door and this door. So is that another door to the actual house or where is that going? And that's where we can jump over here and be like, oh, here's that door right here. That's actually just going into under the platform for storage. So if you're wanting to store stuff underneath that platform, that's a great way to do it. It's kind of like a garage for your stuff, basically. And then you can see the elevations here. It's important to know what the roof pitch is. So this is a 312 roof pitch right here. And then you can obviously, like we said, you can change out the different material choices. So if you don't want a glass door right here, you can make it a solid door, or if you want whatever it is you want, you can change that stuff around. So it's got the fan up in there as well. Here's this sleeping area with the storage, and then there's cabinets right here, actually. The dining area, the kitchen setup right here. And I know some people don't love it. I don't love it, but sometimes you have to. We have the washer dryer inside of the kitchen run, which is very effective and it gets the job done. And it also gives you more countertop space, which is great. And then let's see, on this other side over here, the section you can see it cut in the middle. And so the bathroom wall is right here, and that's the bathroom set up there with the fridge and a microwave up top, more storage there, and so on. I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna go a little bit faster, but similar setup here. We like having a safety plan. Obviously, you guys probably know where you're going to escape from, but you do need to have a safety plan set up there. Here's our framing setup on this. So you can actually see how we would recommend framing it. You can see the hold downs where we would recommend placing hold downs on the home. You can see the way that it's framed. So the trimmer, the king stud, the header here, the windowsill, and the different cripplers underneath here as well, and all the different details along those lines. We've found that's very helpful for people who are doing DIY. And then here's like some detailed shots right here. So you can see exactly how, I know this probably looks a little bit funky for some of you guys, but you can see exactly how we would recommend doing the connection. So this would be like one of the rafters going this way. And we always recommend like a hurricane, like they're called hurricane clips, but Simpson H2.5 at each rafter, and that holds the rafter down onto the top plate. So the rafter can't lift up if there's a ton of wind or if it tries to separate or anything like that. That's called hardware, and the hardware actually makes that connection almost unbreakable for any sort of standard, movement or anything like that. You can see the metal roof. You can see the different layers of it. So the metal roof, the ice and water shield right underneath. You're going to want to make sure that's high temperature for a metal roof. 1/2-inch plywood, the 2x6 rafters, 16-inch on center, some poly insulation. So that's your insulation. That's going to give you, it's going to give you plenty of insulation for this home. And then you're going to want some sort of vapor barrier. Vapor barrier, if you're going to do the poly insulation, then you don't have to have a vapor barrier. We'd still recommend it. Interior cladding, so that can be anything. That can be drywall, that can be tongue and groove, that can be all the different types of things along those lines. And then the double top plate right here, you can see the different setups. So this is like a metal flashing that you want the water to drip off your home. Let's see. The interior cladding on this side as well with the vapor barrier and the 2x4 studs and the poly insulation and the house wrap, and then the plywood, and then the exterior cladding. So you can kind of see like, oh, that's the way that it's layered. I know it's probably looks a little bit funny to some of you who've never seen something like this before, but you can actually see how it's built. And oftentimes inside of blueprints, they'll have a detail section like this. So you really want to know how to interpret and how to read one of these. It's basically just go layer by layer, and it's as if you're looking at it, but it was cut in half like this, and now you're just looking at the side right there, which you're going to see that everything from the siding to the plywood to the studs to the interior cladding, but you want to know all the different details that are going in between there. So here's the other side of it. That would be up on the higher roof section. Here's the roof framing plan. It's pretty straightforward and simple, makes it nice and DIY friendly. Here's the foundation plan. So this would be you can see the footer is this section out here, and then this would be the stem wall. And so it's a stem wall foundation, pretty straightforward and simple. And you're going to want the hold down bolts to go clear through. So again, another complicated looking detail right here, but don't get overwhelmed by it. Just take it in stride. So this is obviously the wall up here. This is obviously the floor insulation or floor system down here. And this is the stem wall right here of the foundation. And you can actually see, okay, so that's the hold down. The hold down needs to go through the entire 2x12 floor joist. So you need to extend it. So you're going to do a little coupler right here, and then it goes up into this specific HDU2 hold down, Simpson hold down right there. That can actually really keep the vertical walls, the vertical structure attached down clear to the foundation, because it's not just attaching it to this floor system, it's actually sandwiching it clear down to here. And then whatever this is actually screwed onto, you want to make sure that that is very well nailed to your shear, which is going to be your plywood. So just take it in stride. I'm way running out of time. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah, you can go through the different items. Again, like I said, the exterior cladding, then you got the plywood, then you got the vapor barrier, then you've got, or sorry, the siding, then vapor barrier, then plywood, then the 2x4, the inside vapor barrier and the other plus insulation on the inside. And then you can see like, hey, it calls out R30 insulation inside the floor. And the subfloor should be 3/4 inch thick and different things along those lines. So you can actually just like understand how the plans go. If you just take it line item by line item, you don't want to get overwhelmed by it that way. Oh man, there's a lot more that I wanted to show you. Here's like a 3D render of it. Here's the way that we would recommend a double stud at this hold down right here. Again, all the different cabinets, the door and window schedule, the different things along those lines. So you guys, I'm running out of time. I don't want to take time from Peter. So I'm going to go ahead. Cool. Well, yeah, I definitely hope that this was helpful for you guys. And like I said, I'm running out of time, but I really hope that you guys were able to learn something from that, see blueprints, and actually hear somebody talk you through it. Because I understand looking at the blueprints, it's like, what in the world am I even looking at? And it can be hard to interpret it and understand it. And so, I think you can do it. It's not like it's rocket science. People can understand. You just have to take the time and learn what you're looking at and understand what it's talking about. So some blueprints get way more complicated than that. Ours are what we like to call DIY friendly, which means that you can actually build from them, but it doesn't overcomplicate things. And there's also some other things that you might need to have inside of there. Like we do highly recommend getting them engineered and so on, because we can't stamp. We don't have an engineer license in the first place. We also can't stamp in different states because, well, we don't have a license in any state. So we heavily recommend doing that as well.